Welcome to the Cosmic Broadcast, created by fans for fans of comic book media. We're happy to have you with us today. All we ask is that you sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Cosmic Broadcast. We are happy to be discussing this topic with you guys today. And that topic, as you saw from the title, is going to be Moon Knight. Moon Knight is a show that is currently 5 episodes deep. We got one more coming up next week. And so far, the consensus is pretty good. Honestly, there's been a lot of positive feedback online. I'm here with Mike. My name's Jonah, and let's get into it.
What up? What up, man? I love it so far. Like I said, I wish there could be way more episodes, but
Same.
So far, man, it is giving us exactly what we need. I can't wait for episode 6.
What we're doing is we're going to put together just our thoughts from episodes 1 through 5. We'll go through each one, kind of take turns, see what our thoughts are, and then we'll end with our predictions for the finale next week. Debuts on next Wednesday. That being said, let's go ahead and start with episode 1. Mike, you got the floor, sir. Tell me what you think.
I ain't gonna even lie. I low-key think episode 1 was my favorite. Maybe beside episode 5, but I think episode 1 was probably one of my favorites, considering, I mean, it just jumped right into his personality disorder. I mean, he's waking up, doesn't know where he is for real. You know, you see the sand on the ground, you see he's chained up. I mean, he's done all this stuff in his house, so he definitely knows he's doing something that he doesn't know. And, you know, when it changed and it switched from him being him to him waking up and not knowing where he was at, I love the fact that they immediately started to incorporate the fact that Stephen Grant is not alone in all of this. And of course, let's be real, they showed us Moon Knight at the very end of that episode. And that's low-key, that's by far like one of the hardest transformations. The Hulk was cool. That's a cool transformation and all that. But anybody else is like, you know, Iron Man putting his suit on, that's cool. But when Moon Knight, man, when his eyes go white.
Would you call that like one of the best transformations?
In Marvel so far?
In MCU history, let's take TV shows and movies. Let's go top 5. Do you think that belongs in the top 5?
100%.
Okay.
100%. The Hulk is obviously in there too, but 100%. Moon Knight, after watching that, it's because you see him go from being just Mark, Steven, whatever, to, okay, I'm about to be Moon Knight. And
like
the
shroud.
The suit just comes out of nowhere and he's just boom, Moon Knight.
And it's clean.
And it is
that
clean.
Suit is clean.
Clean, bro. It is. And then of course the whatever these are, the crescents in the middle.
Like the not batarangs.
Yeah, they're batarangs, but they're crescent rings.
Yeah.
They're crescent rings or something, man. And he uses them to fight and throw them at people. It's crazy. So that's how I feel about. I'd give season 1 9 out of 10. It's probably my favorite. I mean, I'm sorry,
episode 1, right? Yeah.
I'd probably give that like 9 out of 10, definitely.
I'm right there with you. So honestly, from my perspective, just off rip, we're talking just the first episode. I would go ahead and make that claim that this is easily one of my favorite MCU shows.
By far.
Without a doubt. No single MCU show so far has held my attention straight out the gate. When it comes to, like, we're talking on the edge of our seat. I love shows in general where the person of interest is confused in the show or movie. I love it when the audience is confused as well. Like we're trying to figure it out, just like you. Steven don't know what he's doing. I don't know what Steven's doing. I don't know what's going on. But you know what? Like, I'm here to discover it with him. So we're
all here to.
Exactly. So it's like a journey that we're going on with him. And when that connects to us as the audience, for one, like, I can't, you can't top that. So, I mean, you got to think, you start out with all of these things they're throwing at us. You mentioned the whole Steven blacking out randomly and then all of a sudden waking up and he's surrounded by, you know, bloody bodies, or he's waking up and his jaw's broken. Like, it's things like that where we don't know, they don't explain that. And I love when TV shows treat audiences like the intelligent beings that we are. They're like, okay, look, are you an MCU fan? then we're going to let you figure this out on your own. We're not going to tell you. We're not going to say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Steven's about to go through a change. Steven's about to transform into another personality. Who could it be? It's like, no, we're grown men. We're grown adults. Show us why we should be engaged. So I thought this was an excellent beginning. I was afraid that they were going to start falling back on those MCU tropes that we always make fun of, the jokes and like the shoddy CGI and the goofy fight scenes. But I mean, right when you thought they were going to go that way, they immediately pivoted right back to the intrigue, the story, the conundrum of who is Steven? Why is he experiencing the things that he's experiencing? So, I mean, when you walk out of episode 1 with a lot of great questions to ask, you know you did something right.
When you walk out of any, I think when you walk out of any show, especially if it's a series and something like that you're interested in, every episode, sitting here wondering what's about to happen next, or what was that, or what was that he said. That's how you know it's good. At the end of that episode, it was like, whoa, okay. So how does he know that he can change from Mark to Steven? Did Steven know that he could do this? You know, how long can he do? Like, there's like when you start being able to ask those questions, like you said, man, that's when you know the show really grabs you. And I love these types of shows, but I hate them at the same time because now I gotta wait till next Wednesday for the last episode.
If I remember when the credits started rolling after the first episode, I remember looking at my wife and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is one of those.
It's one of those, and
Exactly.
and it's one of those like when you see the ending and you see the credits, you be like, so that's how you gonna end it off.
Exactly, and that's
you
how
ended it great.
Yeah,
you ended it great, but that's how you gonna end it. I gotta watch the next one.
Perfection. You said 9 out of 10. I'd probably say 9.5 out of 10, which transitions us over to episode 2.
I liked episode 2 as well. It started giving you the more information. What's going on? You know, Steven's now starting to question so many things. Why are you calling me Mark? Who is this? Where did this cell phone come from?
Exactly.
You know, and then the interaction between Steven and Mark is what I think is making the show that much better too, because it's physically, visibly showing you what goes on in somebody's head when they have these exact same issues. They're sitting here talking to somebody who they think is right there, and they're really not. And so I think that's great. I also think that Oscar, I'm sorry, I don't remember his last name. Oscar Isaac, yes. Doing an amazing job being able to go from Mark, American man with the American accent kind of deeper, to this soft ass Stephen Grant that's talking
the Cockney accent.
He's talking kind of like this. I don't know. He doesn't know where everything is. I swear.
Well, you know what's funny is he got a lot of people online when the trailer dropped. He got a lot of hate in the comments because people were like, why does he have such a horrible British accent? Like,
really?
Yeah, they were like, I remember a lot of the talk was like, oh my gosh, he is gonna botch this role because he has the terrible accent. It's gonna be so obvious. But then you find out it's fake for a reason.
Yeah,
because he doesn't know, like, this is his fake personality. So anyway, yeah. I just want to throw it in. There's a little free.
Wow, I did not know that, but you know what? We in 2022, man. Anything can happen. But
exactly.
I definitely enjoyed that part. The more information that they're starting to give us about his issues.
Because you got to think this is that episode where you start to kind of find out more things from Mark's perspective. You see, you meet Layla too.
You meet Layla, and so I think I like it for the fact that, like, yeah, you are starting to see more of, you know, Mark's background, because he's starting to awaken now, and slowly but surely, like, Steven's, you can tell Steven's kind of losing a little bit of control, you know, and Mark is starting to take over more and more and more and more. And so, you know, I think I'd give it I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. Definitely 8 out of 10.
I can see that. I would say kind of like how the episode 1 was pretty much completely Steven's story. I wouldn't say episode 2 is completely Mark's story either, but it was kind of, like you said, the passing of the torch, where, like, you can see Steven starting to lose control. I like the fact that, like, you even had that little, again, this is humor done right, where they're in that is it the storage unit, and and Mark is like, hey, go lay down in that cot real quick. I got this. You go lay down. Stay out of the way. And I think you heard Khonshu go like, he's an idiot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's little things like that. That's good humor. That's not
It's
one of those,
amazing.
you know how Marvel has a lot of those, oh, whoopsie,
Mm-hmm.
little cheap gag or cheap little one liner. That was legit. That made me laugh. And to me, that's the kind of humor I like. It's the tasteful, little, subtle, kind of messed up in a way because, you can start to see that battle for control. But I
Mm-hmm.
still appreciated that they had a little bit of humor. But yeah, starting to see Mark kind of come alive and start to figure out that, okay, he's not in any way related to Steven whatsoever. He is the complete
Mm-hmm.
opposite of whatever Steven is. And as we find out later on in the episodes, it's kind of the Mark's the brawn, Steven's the brain, but we don't find out that, or we don't find that out yet. So to me personally, like I appreciated the fact that, like we said before, it's a war. It's a war for his body, and we start to see more and more the skills that Mark brings to the table when it comes to fighting off jackals. Any kind of action scene with a Moon Knight costume actually proved me wrong because I had a lot of doubts going into this where I was like, all right, pretty much a fully CGI suit from what it looks like.
Right.
I was not expecting it to be impressive at all. I thought it was going to be, all right, he's going to just kind of float through the air with the kind of Spider-Man, no, Homecoming, CGI, Civil War kind of thing where he has this weightlessness to him. But they really did a good job of making that suit feel more like it's something that could appear in real life. Love the transition where instead of it being something that he puts on, it kind of envelops him and it kind of encases him, kind of like the Venom symbiote in a way.
Yeah, it engulfs his body
Mm-hmm.
in the suit, and I mean it's pretty much just what Khonshu is wearing. It's just the cape and the cowl and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wraps. He's an Egyptian god, so
Mm-hmm.
that's I loved it.
Now, kind of in closing on this episode, I would say didn't know much about the actress who played Layla, Mark's estranged wife.
Oh yeah.
Haven't seen it much of her stuff in previous movies, but I could already tell without a doubt, kind of starting out, they had really good chemistry. It wasn't over the
Mm-hmm.
top. You could tell that they had been through a lot together, and that they were on the tail end. But again, we didn't have to see it. They didn't have to give us a flashback of, hey, here's Mark and Layla's whole love life. Here's how they got to not like each other. They went straight from, hey, I want a divorce. We're signing papers
Yeah.
right now. And you don't have to be the smartest person in the world to put two and two together and be like, okay, so whatever Mark's done, Layla's not about that, and she wants out. And I
Right.
appreciate the fact that they basically didn't force feed us some of that backstory. I'd probably say because I was still a huge fan of that. I know we keep having the same rating, but like that's why we think so like minded when it comes to this
Right.
kind of stuff.
Right.
So I mean, I would say 8 out of 10 as well. I mean, to make it different, I'll say 8.1 out of 10. How about that? We'll get some differentiating between the
You
two.
got it, man. You got to be different. That's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
8.1.
Um,
Something gave you that point one. I don't know what did.
yeah, I don't. Well, I'd say because I was still trying to figure things out. I was
Got you.
still
Okay.
asking
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that being said, let's go ahead and go to episode number 3, and I'll go ahead and lob this back to you, and then if you want to.
Episode 3 was definitely one of the way slower ones. I do like that when how they ended episode 2. They ended it with him being in Cairo. Now I thought that was gonna be kind of more so his backstory, like figuring out his backstory. However, they went more on a route of, I believe they were, talking about Khonshu and how, you know, what he does is kind of slow and how, they focus a lot on Amit and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like that episode. I believe correct me if I'm wrong, that was the episode where he turned into Mr. Knight for the first time,
Yes.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice little change. And what I do like is that Steven is Mr. Knight,
Mm-hmm.
not Mark.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like that because if you know anything about Moon Knight, Moon Knight himself is the brutal one. Like you said, Mark is the bronze. Mr. Knight is the brain. Mr. Knight is the one that goes in with this suit and he goes in and looks at stuff and he says, well, this is happening and that's happening. Steven is that guy. So I do like that. And then, like you said, how they threw the funny stuff in there when he dropped and changed into the suit, he fell on his knees and he was like, "Oh, that shit hurt." So throwing that little stuff in there and then getting right back into fighting.
Mm-hmm.
The trial, them starting to bring in gods now, and not just your Norse gods like Loki or Thor or Odin. They're starting to bring in your Egyptian gods now, like Khonshu and oh my God, it's Ahmed. And all of the gods that first of all were on that wall, but
And a bunch of names I can't pronounce or
and
remember.
yeah, and a bunch of names that in the next episode I'll figure them out. All the gods, and then when they had that court meeting that you could say with all the gods and their avatar, I will say that was probably weird enough, one of the better parts of the episode. And then just seeing how Harrow is moving, he moving in silence is getting me too, because this man is cold. This man is cold, bro.
Calculated.
He's very, very calculated. That one might be a 7.
7.
Maybe 6.5.
Well then, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it because I probably have one of the more controversial takes on this episode. Kind of not buying into the positive reviews and stuff like that. I personally did not like this episode. I still personally believe that this was the weakest one out of all 5 that we've seen so far.
I agree.
I'm assuming that the finale is not going to be bad, so I'm just going to go ahead and say the worst episode of the series. The biggest thing that stuck out to me is that the desert turning back time sky thing scene, to me, saved the episode. That saved it from being one that I walked away feeling like it was not worth my time. Beautifully shot, beautifully executed. I'm not going to explain the whole detail of it for time purposes. And also, I mean, if you've seen the episode, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where Mr. Knight and his avatar, or I'm sorry. Wow, I'm blanking. What's
Khonshu.
Khonshu, thank you. I was thinking Kenoshu, and I don't know why.
Definitely not that.
Yeah, no. Him and Khonshu were turning back time. Beautiful scene. Loved that. But
yeah, that was beautifully shot, actually. Yeah.
Overall, I had a feeling that with all good seasons, there's going to be an episode where it's going to be more relaxed. It's going to be more set back. It's going to be more talking, more dialogue. And I know it needed to happen, but it very much was like, okay, Mark and Layla sitting in a boat. Mark and Layla talking about their feelings. Okay, I got it. All right, cool. I've seen this. That's when you get into I've seen this a million times before, both in MCU shows and other properties. So I understand that there needs to be interaction, but for me it was like, okay, all right, now we're just talking. And then they had that whole side plot where they went to that dude's place. I don't even remember his name personally. You know what I'm talking about. The dude who in real life the actor passed away.
Yeah, come on. You know what?
You know exactly. Yeah, it looked like to be another MacGuffin. They're trying to get this. He's trying to read this little thing in the Mummy, and again, cool scene. It was not bad. I'm not gonna say that it was a bad scene, but again, it was like, okay, all right, it's kind of goofy, kind of like, all right, Steven and Mark are figuring out. It's like the Odd Couple. They're trying to figure out, okay. I was getting major like Venom Eddie Brock vibes. I know I keep coming back to Venom. Really? It's more of like they're butting heads. They're kind of wisecracking to each other. Mark's like, "Can I come out now?" Steven's like, "No."
Oh, yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
kind of like not at all a symbiotic relationship.
They were definitely butting heads.
Yeah.
Because difference of opinions.
Now, you said you covered a lot in your kind of gathering slash meeting slash judgment of the gods scene in the pyramid. So I won't add too much to that, but I will say I wrote down something that I kind of circled in bold. It was just seemed very off. It was one of those things where the premise was good, and then they brought in Harrow, and I was like, oh, they're about to judge him. They're about to find out all the stuff he's been doing. He's literally digging to find Amit's tomb or grave or whatever it's going to be. He's literally digging, and they're like, hey, stop whatever you're doing. He's literally probably still got sand on his hands from digging. They're like, hey, did you do that? Are you doing all these bad things? And he's just like, nope.
He's just like, no.
He's like, wasn't me. And they're just like, okay, yep. Hey, Mark, you're not telling the truth. We're going with Harrow. He's obviously telling the truth. When all he did was go, nope, I didn't do it. And that's good enough for them. That was the only moment in the whole episode where I just kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, so giving it some time to think about it, as much as I didn't like that, if by some chance in the finale they tease like, oh, they were really secretly conspiring with Harrow the whole time, then that vindicates that. That justifies that for me. I could see why they took his side so quickly. But for right now, did not like that at all.
They're like, Mark, so did you do it? Are you not well? And he straight up was like, yeah, I'm not well. They were like, okay, well, all right, Harrow, see you later, bro. And so, but like you said, there probably is something more going on.
Yeah, I will hold off full judgment until the finale.
But that's one of those things right there. That's one of those things that is going to keep you engaged, and it'll make you be like, whoa, right? If they tease it in the finale, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, he put the statue up there, and it's like, all right, whatever. And you don't really think about it unless you are kind of people like us and they're like, why is there so many statues?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, why did that seem so weird? And then
Mm-hmm.
so when it does happen, it's
I
like,
hope so.
oh,
I hope it
and
pays off.
I hope they do something
Mm-hmm.
with something.
Now, as for the whole Moon Knight versus Mr. Knight thing, again, you covered a lot of it. I'll just kind of add my thoughts to it real quick so that we can move on to the next episode. But I know a little bit more of Moon Knight, Mr. Knight from the comics, and I was a little disappointed that they went with the whole Steven being Mr. Knight, a little more on the goofy side, because in the comics, Mr. Knight is as serious as it gets.
Oh
Mr. Knight is here to mess you up, but he does it in an intellectual way still. So there is a differentiating personality from Mark's, but I was surprised at how goofy and how campy it was. I'm not saying I hate it, but I was surprised. And I'm not saying it was a good surprise or a bad surprise, but I was like, okay, all right, take some getting used to. Also, he's barely in it. So, I mean, for me, I can't really judge something that wasn't the main focal point of the episode. But again, going to wait till the finale to judge. That's kind of, for me, that is my whole, what I got from episode 3 was, I'm going to wait. So I will say 6 out of 10 for now.
Okay. Yeah.
With an opportunity and potential to change. Leading into episode 4, just as a just to kind of tee it off, this was the action set piece inside of the tomb. So I'll let you take that.
I feel like that was another one was not necessarily slow. They showed a lot of fighting back and forth between again Layla and Mark and Steve and all that. Seeing Steven start to like Layla was interesting. It was a very interesting thing. And then Mark getting on Steven about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That episode was, I don't think there was a whole lot of Moon Knight in it. It was mainly just them digging. And then
kind of like an Indiana Jones kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of Indiana Jones stuff, man. There was a lot of fighting in the tomb. There was a lot of talking really for real between Harrow and Layla. So but what I will say is the connection that they were making, like you were saying, between Mark and Layla. We're now in episode 4 where we know that they got divorced, but we don't really know why. So when Harrow and her are talking, well, he's starting to do what manipulative bad guys do, and that's get into her head and start telling her Mark did all these things. He didn't kill her dad. He was just there, and
he happened to exist at the same place at the same time.
He just happened to be in the same place at the same time, and the other dude killed her dad. So now we see the disconnect and the animosity between them. And also Steven too can see it. Steven's also was like, oh, that's what happened. That's what you did. So I love how every single episode, Mark's appearing more. Steven is starting to learn more about Mark. And every time he learns something new, it kind of makes him think a little bit differently about Mark. Either you're a good guy or you're a bad guy. Which one is it? He doesn't even know yet. So with that being said, man, I mean, dude, I think I'll give that one another 7.5 out of 10, because I ain't gonna lie, at the very end I was a little bit confused when he got shot and died.
Got it.
And he woke up in the mental hospital and they saw a hippo. However, the 0.5 is coming from this. They did an amazing job with Steven waking up. I'm sorry,
Mark first. Yeah.
Mark woke up first and found Steven in the coffin. And as they're walking down the hall, they see another coffin shaking. And obviously, my first thought was Jake Lockley.
As did everybody else.
But I believe you pointed something out, saying that
I'm gonna get to that.
Something different. So,
for me personally, the big motto I got from it was, "Forget what you know." And to me, I really appreciated specific parts of this. I'm just gonna jump straight into the chase scene / encounter with that embalming mummy.
Ooh.
I loved that scene. Period. End of discussion. I loved it because for me, I was like, this is like a horror show. This is like, I know Doctor Strange is supposed to be the first, like having the most parallels to a horror movie, but this scene gave me chills, like bone chills, like the way they shot it, the atmosphere, the tension, is the mummy going to realize that someone else is in the room before it's too late. I mean, it was like keep you on the edge of your seat. And with Mark and Layla, or sorry, Steven and Layla having to kind of, was it? I forgot if it was Steven or Mark
I
at
believe it
the
was.
time.
I believe it was Steven. I
Okay,
think it
yeah,
was Steven
yeah,
at the
it
time.
was. You're right. You're right. You're right. And so they kind of had to kind of work their way around him, and like it would turned out into more of like a, you know, in a video game where you have those little cutscenes and quick time events where you have to kind of sneak in without getting caught. I think it was like Until Dawn.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah,
I was getting major Until Dawn vibes, and so
yeah.
like I loved that. To me, that was my favorite part, and that alone to me was one of the biggest standout scenes in the whole season. So that's one thing I wanted to point out real quick, and then like you mentioned, the whole ending scene with that third coffin. You covered a
Hmm.
lot of the rest of the fourth episode really great, so I'll skip all of that. But that last scene with that third coffin, so I was right there
Yeah,
with
go
you. I was like,
ahead.
oh, it's Jake Lockley.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
Jake Lockley. Gotta be. And then my
Hmm.
wife of all people. Now, granted, my wife's amazing. She loves Marvel. She loves comics.
My wife's amazing.
I was her inspiration to get into
Hmm.
this kind of stuff, and she's embraced it 100%. She looked at me, and I looked at her. I was like, "That's got to be Jake Lockley." And she was like, "Did you notice that the coffin was like more slender and more female looking?" She's like, "And look at the red tones on the coffin." She's like, "That doesn't look like a male coffin." Ironically, and she's like, "I don't know much about Egyptian history and everything." She's like, "But I know that it seems to be more of a feminine appearance." So I don't know if that could be Jake Lockley. Now, granted, she didn't know who it could be. Like if it
Right.
was Layla's avatar or if it was Layla herself who was trapped in there, maybe another one of those parallels to something else in the show. But it gave me enough reason to think, like, all right, since they weren't fully ready to fully embrace the Jake Lockley persona yet, maybe that was something they're going to tease in the finale, because all finales usually let you down in one way or another. So maybe they're teasing some other thing other than Jake Lockley, because we've had our other teases. We don't need to, if you've been on the internet, you've seen the little Jake Lockley teases, little bits and pieces throughout the show.
Yeah.
You know that there's most likely a high chance of him appearing at the end. But that being said, I was like, oh, that changes my whole perspective of who's going to show up.
Yeah, because I literally just looked at it, and yeah, dude, it looked a little bit slimmer. It's red, and it looks like a female.
Like a female pharaoh.
This looks like a yeah. So, because normally the men they have the thing right here.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have one, so that is that. Yeah,
I
that's
guess we'll
interesting.
see.
And the tower wet. Hold on, I'm bringing tower wet to life.
Is it Tower?
Yeah, tower wet.
Okay, bet. And when it comes to my review or my score, I'd say 7.7. 7.7 out of 10, because, well, for one, I don't want to match with you again.
What did I
And
say? 7?
you said 7.5, I think.
Oh, okay, 7.
There's 7.5. And then that leads us into episode 5, which was the one that just came out today. And I'm freeballing this
boy.
one. I'm closing up the notes and I'm throwing them away.
Yeah, no,
because
trust me.
I
It's not even here. I didn't even think about this one.
Recency bias.
I literally watched it the moment I could. So,
All right, so
I
you
wanted to
got
watch
this.
it a second time, but I didn't. Man, just like you said, just forget about everything, because
Forget what you think you know.
forget what you think you know, man, because the amount of twists and turns in that episode alone, from him being Mark to him being in the to him fighting the orderlies, to then him switching to being in another place, and then him being back into the chair.
The team up with Steven.
And it was absolutely phenomenal seeing him battle his own mind while he's dead. By the way, everybody, if you don't know, if you're not hearing this, if you know that he's actually dead. This isn't even his mind. This is
He got shot in the episode before.
he got shot in the episode, yeah, the episode before, and he's now in the what is it called, man? Because he's with Tara, because he's on the boat and he's with Tara.
I don't know the official name, but they're on the boat where they're on the way to like their version of the afterlife.
Basically, he's in like limbo, and he's on
Yeah.
their way to the afterlife.
Purgatory,
Yeah.
basically.
And they are guiding. That's when they're the heart and all that is balanced.
Scales, yeah.
The scale of balance that allows him into the afterlife. But seeing her go, wow, the scales aren't, they're not balancing. Just like when Harrow did it, and he was saying, dude, there's madness in you.
Mm-hmm.
A nice little reference to the first episode, to now having to go bend his past, go. So this was a really good backstory on, okay, how did Mark become like this? Went on in his life? And we now see, first of all, he has the trauma of killing his brother, or just kind of,
Incidentally, wrong place, wrong
incidentally
time.
killing his brother. We all know at that age, you're probably not really trying to, but incidentally killing his brother. I mean, dude, at that age, that's crazy. That's gonna kill you inside. On top of that, having your mom straight beat you all the time and then blaming you for it.
And he created that personality
It
to cope
makes
with that.
sense. It makes so much sense
That
now.
that hit me. That was
And
good.
that is and it actually shows how sensitive of a person Mark is, because he's sitting here trying to not allow Steven, who is not even a real person, to not see that he's created. Steven, you're not real. He didn't even want to tell him that he wasn't real. That's how sensitive he was to Steven's feelings, which is crazy to me. And I love them showing them, kept going to memory after memory after memory after memory, showing, well, this is what Mark did. Well, this is what Steven did. Well, who's that little boy over there? You killed all these people. Like it was showing so many different things that led up to where he's at now. Was absolutely phenomenal. And then dude, towards the end of the wow, it's kind of left me
Spoiler.
like,
Wait.
oh,
Spoiler alert. Major spoiler alert.
yeah,
I'm
major
gonna
spoiler.
I'm gonna put this in the title just so that people know.
Major,
That
major,
was
absolute major spoiler alert if you have not seen the episode yet.
that was a goof on my end. I take full responsibility for that one. Continue.
It's okay. We'll put it in the thumbnail or something. But serious spoiler alert. Seeing them team up at the end, seeing how Steven and Mark are now like damn near being one, kind of having feelings for each other, even knowing they're the same person. And Steven, saving Mark and then going into the afterlife or whatever. It is really leaving me sitting here. I will be honest with you, man. I have absolutely no idea what this finale is going to be, because he made it. He made it to the after, or the it's actually called something else. I'll look it up.
Field of Reeds, right?
There it is. Field of Reeds. There it is. So it's like he made it. So
what now?
Exactly. So it's like,
he's got to go back.
Is he gonna stay? He's not gonna stay dead, obviously. He has to come back to life.
Or is it all in his head?
Or is this all in his head? But it's not, because she said he really did get shot.
All right.
But we really don't know.
You're getting that from a hippo with a headdress. Anything's possible.
With opposable thumbs, by the way. The hippo had opposable thumbs. No other animal does that.
So what would your rating be?
Oh, that one? 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. I respect that.
Definitely, 100%. I 100% enjoyed everything.
I'm going to go ahead and just cover the fact of, like, I appreciated... Hang on. Can we take a second to appreciate Oscar Isaac as an actor? Because the skill it takes to be able to flip between those personalities. When he had that moment where... we already warned you guys about spoilers, so, I mean, I'm going all in. But... And by warned you, I mean, we warned you halfway through. So, anyway.
Right.
When his mom died... And he's out there in the drive. First of all, I saw a taxi cab in the background. I was like, "Oh, Jake Lockley," but it wasn't. Anyway, we won't talk about that.
I was so excited. I really thought that was Jake Lockley, but then when I saw it wasn't, I was like, "Damn it!"
I know.
It's cool.
But yeah. But he had that moment where he broke down in tears, sobbing, and all of a sudden he switches over to Steven, who has no remorse, no idea, and he's just walking. He's just like, "Oh, life goes on." Well, he still has tears coming out of his eyes. His face is red, and he just switches. He's just like, this is weird. And then he calls his mom, thinking that he's calling his mom, when they're having a funeral service for her, not 30 feet away. The dynamics that he showed throughout the whole episode, the range of emotions he had to show. And like you said, it ends with, technically, if you ended the show right now, he technically got his wish. Now, granted, Steven had to sacrifice himself to balance the scales and give Mark that peace, because now that his other personality is gone, he technically is just Mark. But at what cost? He lost Steven. He potentially lost everything else around him, and he made it to, in his mind's eye, the conclusion. But again, was it worth it? And I think that leads us perfectly into kind of real quick for time purposes, kind of our brief summary of what we want to see in the finale. Or sorry, I'm finality. I don't know.
Bro,
Finale.
finality?
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and just wrap up real quick and throw my
Yeah, go ahead.
expectations for finale, and then I'll let you close this out. I don't have much. I don't want to. I've watched
Mhm.
too many MCU shows where I over planned and had over expectations for the finale, and I got disappointed. All I ask is don't be like all the other MCU shows. Don't end it with a big CGI battle. If there's one in there, cool, but let there be more than just bad guy, good guy, we fight, that kind of thing. I know that seems kind of oddly specific, but I've seen enough MCU media to be like, all right, give me something that or in this case, I turn off the TV and I'm like, wow. Kind of like how they did the first episode. I'm cool. Give me a big battle. We haven't seen the Moon Knight costume hardly at all, and I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
actually.
I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that because they've done more things to keep me appeased. But give us the Moon Knight costume. Give us a big finale. Give us a big battle. But also, don't lose sight of what made you great.
Right.
Don't lose sight of the fact that this is a narrative driven story with great, perfectly casted, perfectly introduced characters. Send them out with a gusto instead of just a bunch of CGI nonsense. That's all I ask for. When it comes to predictions, I'm going to go ahead and say that there's going to be a big fight scene. I'm not going to. I think Jake and Mark. I'm sorry. I think Mark and Steven will find a way to reconnect, and then I think Jake Lockley hopefully will make an appearance. And it's one of those. If you read the comics, there's a scene where Mark, Steven, and Jake team up to defeat Khonshu, and basically say, I'm freeing myself from your grasp once and for all. I think they're going to do something similar to that. Maybe even pay off that actual comic panel. Who knows?
Hmm.
But for me, I'm not asking for much. I'm not going to predict much. All I ask is don't be another MCU show. What you got?
I'm actually right there with you, bro. I honestly don't even.
Oh,
Sure, they can give.
I'm
They
sorry.
can,
Real quick. I did not give my
oh yeah,
rating
yeah, yeah.
of episode 5. I'd
Episode
say
five, yeah, yeah.
8.236 out of 10.
I don't want to expect as much as I want to expect a lot. I'm not going to because, like you said, a lot of the shows kind of got to that right here, and then they do the same thing, and it's like, all right, okay, goodbye, bad guy, and then, all right, well, I'm gonna be good now. It's like they can give us that. They just got to do it in a way that kind of sets it different than
Justify it.
justify. Do something a little different. Um, I don't necessarily see the whole Jake Lock, all three of them teaming up to defeat Khonshu per se. That's definitely in there. I know they're definitely gonna free him for sure. And I know I definitely believe that, Steven will come back. I think Jake will more so be teased at like the end. I don't know why, but like, one of those things where you don't really see him. And then like the last like 10 minutes of the show, maybe 15 minutes of
Kind
the
of like a
show.
cameo. Like a
Yeah.
cameo.
And if not necessarily, yeah, like a cameo kind of sort of like where something happens. Cause remember, we still don't know. We still have to figure out who it was that was doing all the other shit when them two didn't even know. He was like, remember, they was like, did you do this?
Jake. It has
Remember,
to be Jake.
did you do this? No, I didn't do that. So like, yeah, it's got to be somebody. And for Marvel to put that in the show, and then not kind of address it later, that would be, I would be very very disappointed. So I'm thinking they did that on purpose. I'm thinking they kind of like were like, kind of teased at like him being way more brutal. And then both of them being like, "Well, I didn't do that. Who did it then?" And then they kind of just glossed over it, and then they went on to do their thing. And so now I'm like, I think they're gonna do it again, where the last episode, Jake Lockley gonna show up, and they're both gonna kind of be, or Mark's gonna be like, wait, like Steven, is that you back? And nah, bro, it's Jake. What you want? You need a taxi? I got you. Word for word. That's what I think. That's what I think. Obviously Ahmed's got to die or something. I actually even think slightly that Harrow is gonna. I don't know if that's Ahmed's avatar or whatever, but I think that he's gonna do something. Like we're gonna see more, maybe a little bit more from him. Just a little.
Well, there's a clip in the trailer that shows Harrow and Moon Knight launching at each other, in the sky,
Really?
like in the air. Yeah.
I'll
If
have to look at it. I have to
anybody,
check that
I
out.
was gonna say anybody who's watching the podcast, definitely I recommend go rewatch the most recent trailer if you're into that kind of stuff, and you can catch them launching at each other. And Harrow couldn't do that without some sort of power. So
Exactly,
that
because
that
you,
might go
yeah,
right into what you said of Harrow's somebody's avatar, and
I
maybe that
think
gives
he's
him
Amit's
strength.
avatar,
Yeah,
or no, not Amit, because they're actually looking for her or trying
right.
to resurrect her. So yeah, he's got to be somebody's avatar because he has the cane and he you saw he had power with it.
The question is
So
who.
question is who. You want to assume Amit because that is her power that he's using in the cane.
Hmm.
However, it could be anybody,
But
man.
hey, surprise me. So just kind of in summary, definitely feel like we covered a lot of ground for sure.
Oh yeah,
Um, I feel like what people or what we want people to get from this is that Moon Knight is an excellent TV show.
it's
Moon
great.
Knight is one of the best MCU shows, and I would probably say that you concur with me that if, and I repeat, if they pull this off, if they are able to deliver with an amazing finale, this is going to be the greatest MCU show that they've had so far.
If it stopped now, it'd be the best one by far. And Marvel's doing their thing on it. And if you like Moon Knight, I definitely uh I would definitely recommend watching it for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Disney Plus.
With that being said, we're going to turn it over to you guys now. Let us know what you think of Moon Knight. Let us know what you think about it so far. Tell us what you want the finale to be and your perspective. If you have a theory, if you have an idea, or if you just want to see something cool happen, let us know in the comments. Tell us what you think. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. We are going to try to be as consistent as we can. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're happy to do this for you guys. We're happy to talk about our passion.
You hit the nail on the head, man. You hit the nail on the freaking head. I want us to talk about. Let us know in the comments. We really appreciate all of you guys for watching, and we're gonna get
Do
back
what
to
you
you
do.
guys. We're gonna
Exactly.
get back to you guys every single time we can.